So we are already far into this episode. So why don't we just regular episode of Angry Chicken starts right now. Let's hit the news.
Good news, everyone!
Just want to remind everyone, if you have a story that you really wish we would talk about on the show, post it over on the Angry Chicken subreddit over at tacpodcast.reddit.com, and maybe we'll pick it for the show. Obviously, Jocelyn, I mean, come on. Big news this week. New cards have been revealed for Blackrock Mountain.
5 of them.
5 of them indeed. So I'm gonna real quick run back to this over here and try and unscrew everything. Bam, there's the 5 cards.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So 5 new cards this week. I also want to let everyone know I wrote a lot about my opinions of these 5 cards because I have opinions and I feel like everyone should be forced to read them. You can go check that out over at hearthhead.com about all the 5 cards we're about to talk about. But we're definitely going to talk about them here too. So let's start off with Dragon Egg, the winged and scaled cousin of Nerubian Egg.
Yeah, and I think that that's really the comparison that you have to make here because Nerubian Egg spits out a 4/4, and this spits out a 2/1 every time it takes damage. But in order for it to give you more than 1 whelp, you're going to have to buff it somehow. I don't know. I'm not sold on this card. It's really going to depend on how many more kind of dragon synergy cards that we end up getting.
Yeah, first off, it's a 1-mana rare neutral minion card. It has 0 attack, 2 health, and it reads whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/1 whelp. So that out of the way, yes, I completely agree with you. Like when you start to think about self-damaging anything to do something good, for me, the first place my mind goes is Warrior because they have a bunch of whirlwind effects and a card that's actually just called Whirlwind. But the problem is if you're summoning minions that have only 1 health, you can only get 1 whelp out. If you try to whirlwind again, your whelp dies and another whelp comes out and you're kind of back where you started and now you no longer have an egg if you didn't buff the egg. So I'm curious. I'm, again, so much of this is reserving judgment to see the rest of the set. Are whelps going to be dragons? I'm assuming yes, but we don't actually have that confirmed. What other type of dragon synergies are going to be in Blackrock Mountain that are going to make cards like this playable?
Well, and the egg itself doesn't actually have that dragon kind of moniker, so you're not going to get any synergy from the egg when you play it, which I think if it was technically a dragon type, you might see it played a little bit more often.
Yeah, but that makes no sense from a lore perspective. I mean, you and I are both lore nuts. Should a dragon egg be a dragon?
It's a dragon egg. It's
not a dragon. It's not an egg that has wings and attacking you. That is not what it's doing. That is a dragon, miss.
It's gonna be one though. I don't know.
All right, fine. I'll give it to you. But I'm curious. I'm curious because I mean, it's only 1 mana. The Nerubian Egg's 2 mana, but you get so much more bang for your buck from the Nerubian Egg.
Yep.
But we'll have to wait and see. Next card, though, I am actually pretty excited about the Dragonkin Sorcerer. 4 mana, common, neutral, dragon minion. Because I need all the monikers I can fit in there. 3 attack, 5 health for 4 mana. Not terrible. Okay. Yeah, Yetis are going to make fun of it. Be nice, Yetis. But it also reads whenever you target this minion with a spell, gain +1/+1. These kind of cards excite the hell out of me in Magic. I love anything that, I'm targeting it, so it's something good's probably happening. But if it also has its own built-in something good happens when you target it, I'm on board. But the thing is, obviously in Hearthstone, and we've talked about this, I feel to a nauseating length on this program, which is the whole thing of investing too many cards in a single minion.
Exactly. That was going to be my point. You know, even if you're buffing with something like, say, spare parts, you're still spending those spare parts on a minion that could very easily get silenced, hexed, sapped,
Well, I mean, that's the one I would disagree with you there because spare parts, and I think I even wrote in my article, a priest power word shield. Those are like the 2 exceptions that pop right into my head because to me, spare parts are expendable. Yes, they're exactly what they are. They're spare. It's like, well, I have it. I might as well use it. Now, if I use it and I also get a +1/+1 on top of it, hell yeah. I'd much rather throw it on this guy than on, I don't know, an Annoyotron or something. I don't know why I'd be running Annoyotron with this card. It doesn't. There's no deck that pops in my head that seems like a good idea. But
Mech Dragon, duh.
So I'm like thinking like Mech Godzilla just popped into my head from.
There you go. Now you're on my wavelength.
From sick days from school.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that kind of puts up a warning flag to me with this card. Everyone seems to be really excited about it. I was when I first read it. I instantly thought, Priest, Druid, like Paladin, just buff all the things. This is going to be awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not 100% sold on the whole buffing the minion thing, because I mean, you've got your minion card and then any of your buff cards and your spare parts. In general, I guess if you're running a mech mage, you want to save your spare parts to the end anyway, because you want to wait for Antonidas.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about decks that currently exist, like without trying to think of what might be a new archetype, mech, I don't see this ever fitting in a mech mage. First off, it's not a mech.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to think of places where you would have like a lot of spare parts that would actually be arguably the best spell to use with this card. And then, so to try to find a deck where this would fit, where you'd have a lot of spare parts as well. I don't know. I'm just not sold on this. I think it's going to get silenced and hexed and all the rest of it. So that's just my 2 cents.
Fair enough. This makes me want to try, once it's out and seeing what other cards are out, try some kind of weird spare part priest.
Huh?
Because the two buff cards that I feel safe using are Power Word Shield and spare parts. Power Word Shield because I get a card back. So at the very least, if Dragonkin Sorcerer does get removed and I lose both him and technically the Power Word Shield I spent on him, at least the Power Word Shield replaced itself with another card. So I'm not getting,
Fair enough.
I'm not emptying my hand while also.
I forgot. I haven't played a lot of Priest lately, so I forgot that Power Word Shield gives you the card draw as well.
Yeah. So this is a card I'm very excited about, but again, and we're going to repeat this a lot as we talk about the next few cards, hinging on what else comes in the set. Very much so. Flamewaker is up next. Already giving me nightmares, and it's not even out. 3 mana rare mage minion. It has 2 attack, 4 health, and it reads, after you cast a spell, deal 2 damage, randomly split among enemies.
This card is awesome, except for the longest time I thought it was Flame Walker. I've been saying it wrong in my head, like,
you are
ever
not
since it was announced.
I didn't realize my mistake until I wrote that article last week, and I had to check all my spelling. I'm like, oh, I messed this up in 6 different places in this article. Oh boy, delete the L, delete the L, delete the L. Wonderful.
But yeah, this minion is, I'm so excited about it. It's going to fit so well in the existing Tempo Mage. I mean, you've got so many cheap spells. You've got your Frostbolts. You're already trying to buff your Mana Worms. So it fits really, really well. You've got all your secrets and just randomly throwing damage. This is like a better Demolisher. I think it's why I'm so excited. It's like you get one extra attack and you get to split the damage. So you're not necessarily just doing 2 damage to one specific place. And you can do it multiple times in your turn. It's like a Demolisher on steroids.
Demolisher doesn't even like pop into my head because Demolisher just happens. I think of Knife Juggler and Goblin Blast Mage because they both have specific triggers. And this also has a trigger. You have to cast a spell.
Yes,
Knife Juggler, you have to play a minion. That triggers Knife Juggler. And then Goblin Blast Mage, there has to be a minion in play.
A mech in play.
A mech minion in play. And that triggers that. And it has to be a friendly one, obviously. Although, wouldn't that be wonderful?
Wouldn't that be intense
if your
could be
enemy's
enemy
minions
mech?
triggered your Goblin Blast Mage? That would just be,
wow.
What's the word I'm looking for? Broken. That's the word I'm looking for.
I think you mean awesome.
The 2 words are much closer than we probably give them credit for. No, Flamewaker I think is going to be amazing.
I think it's going to be, like I said, instant include in tempo. Probably not in mech, although you could, if you, again, held on to it later on when you're playing all your fireballs and your all your spare parts when you're going through Antonidas. I mean, this would be even more bonus damage, right?
Yeah.
Too bad. I mean, and obviously I can't change the cost, but I mean, if it was 2 mana and then you could get 2 fireballs off and have this played in the same turn. Crazy sauce.
Yeah.
Save your coin to turn 10. There you go.
Why? No, this is what I'm thinking. Like, you play this, you play arcane missiles, then you coin, then you do another arcane missiles.
Or mirror entity.
7 random damage. 7. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, except it's a dream play, and I'm going to get rational again and say you probably shouldn't aim for doing that. Core Rager. Our next card to discuss, a 4-mana rare hunter beast minion. Has 4 attack, 4 health, and it has a battle cry that reads, if your hand is empty, gain +3/+3. It's the first card since, what was it, Ren Blackhand, or what was it? It's not Blackhand. Is it Ren Blackhand?
I think so.
Okay. First card since him that I think is just hot garbage.
Oh yeah, this is terrible.
I'm so confused by Core Rager, and it's like, well, we have one more hunter card. It'd have to be pretty amazing to make Core Rager like an auto include.
I mean, the idea, because I know a lot of people playing Hunter were very excited about this. It's a low-cost card, which, Hunters are always looking for. But a 4/4 for 4 is kind of meh. It doesn't stealth. It doesn't charge, which are really important to Hunter decks right now. And the thing is, you've got sometimes Tracking, sometimes Hunter's Mark, which are cards that you hang on to. And that one card will deny you from getting the buff on the Core Rager. So I don't know. I'm not excited about this at all.
Which
granted, it's pretty terrible.
Which granted, if only one card is the only thing stopping you from playing this, you just play that one card and you play Core Beast or Core Rager.
Yeah, but then often you're only running one Tracking, or you're only running one of your Hunter's Mark. So if you only have one of that card, you don't really want to throw it away just to get 3/3 in stats, because again, then this puts it at 7/7, and you've got yourself a Dr. Boom without the boom bots. And then he just gets pinged with the big game hunter, and you've spent your Hunter's Mark on nothing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Also, Tracking would just put another card in your hand, which I failed to mention.
That is also true.
I think I corrected myself before chat room caught it, though. Yes, corrected myself fast in the chat room. Achievement unlocked.
But thank you, chat room.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is, of course, all pretty much discussing constructed, and the existing current meta. I don't see a home for Core Rager. Maybe something will change. Maybe we'll have these weird kind of zoo hunters that are all about just deploying their hand and filling everything up, and Core Rager will work, and Big Game Hunter will mysteriously no longer be played. In those bizarre scenarios, yes, Core Rager will probably be fine. I think he'll be okay in Arena, though. It's a 4/4 for 4, whatever, totally fine.
Especially if you get him at the end of your draw when you don't have a whole lot of card draw in your Hunter deck. If you're sitting there and you're just like, well, I know I'm going to constantly be top decking, then
which happens way more than we probably give it credit for in Arena. The games go longer. A lot of times you get in the top deck battles, and in that scenario, Core Rager is a bomb, just a stone cold bomb. So I think he'll be okay in Arena. And you need cards like this. You need cards that affect Arena just as much as you need cards that affect Constructed, in my opinion. We pay more attention to Constructed because it's what's played, competitively. But Arena is the other half of this game. So, and then finally, Imp Gang Boss, 3 mana common Warlock Demon minion. The Imps have a new boss. He has 2 attack, 4 health, or maybe she. I'm not sure how to tell the sex of an imp.
Yeah, I can't tell.
I'm done with that even thought. And then it also reads, whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 1/1 imp. Another card I really like.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of Warlocks, even Demon Lock, is still playing Harvest Golem, I think. And I feel like this would be a really good replacement. It's pretty sticky. It's got 4 health. It doesn't die to a lot of the spells that you see people playing. First thing, I'm thinking Mage, specifically Frostbolt. You're still going to get 2 1/1s out of this if they Frostbolt ping. Yeah, I think 4 health makes it really sticky, and it could be, even if you got it off of, not Voidwalker, Void Caller, it's still pretty good, right? And I know when I go up against Paladins and they have all those 1/1s, man, it can be annoying. It's so hard to just remove everything unless you're a druid with swipe, So
yeah, and with spells like Hellfire, Warlocks aren't completely unknown for damaging their own minions.
Yep.
So
I think this is a pretty great card. I'm excited about this. And I think that's the spot it's going to take. I think we'll see Harvest Golem come out of Warlock decks.
I think absolutely. Plus demons, so Mal'Ganis synergy. Although you're probably already winning at that stage if your line of thought is, I have all these 1/1 imps, and now Mal'Ganis just buffed them. You're probably fine. I don't think Mal'Ganis needed to happen, but still, it's still worth noting. Sick Mal'Ganis synergy.
Yeah, chat room is saying Harvest Golem is Zoo. I do know that Harvest Golem runs in Zoo. I thought they were running it in Demon Lock for a while there too. So.
Oh no! If you had mentioned that, I would have stepped in and been like, "Excuse me." Push his glasses up. Harvest Golem is not in Demon Lock. I'm in kind of a goofy mood now. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's fine. You're still on your art high. I get it.
A little bit. So anyway, these are the 5 cards that have been previewed. And I'm sure when the show goes up for the audio-only listeners, there will already be 2 to 3 new cards previewed because that's how Team 5 likes to do it.
They're coming out pretty quick.
They love to announce things right after we post the show.
How many cards do we have revealed already?
Way to ask me a question I clearly do not have the answer for.
Sorry.
I am Ron Burgundy. Okay,
I'm looking at it right now.
Hang on. I don't know.
I just have to count. Okay, so there's 12 cards that are out right now. And there's going to be 30? 30-something?
31, I believe.
31? So we're about a third of the way through the reveals, so probably another 3 to 4 weeks. Unless they do what they did for GVG and just go, oh, and here's all the rest. Split.
Also comes out tomorrow. Have fun.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Moving on. This week we had the China versus EU Season 2 tournament, which I have been affectionately calling after this weekend, No Ferrari for You. The semi-official China versus Europe tournament wrapped up this past weekend with a Ferrari up for grabs as a bonus prize from the Chinese organizers if a Chinese player took first place. Unfortunately, dreams were shattered and crushed as Sleepy Shaman and Tiddler Celestial took 3rd and 4th behind Kalento from Europe and Hawkeye. Kalento took first place and Hawkeye took 2nd, so no one got a Ferrari.
Kalento got a lot of dollars, though.
Kalento did get a lot of dollars. 22,673 of them, to be exact. Which I don't know how you fit that in your wallet, man. And that's some awkward stuff. Careful with that. But I loved that there was a Ferrari up for grabs.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's an esport. Do esports normally have cars?
No, it is not.
So
as someone who watches a decent amount of esports, I will tell you right now, I can't say any of the tournaments I watch give cars away.
Yeah, it just seems so weird.
It added this extra level of kind of like almost BM. It's just like, well, he could get a Ferrari if you just give him the win. Like, clearly that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But everyone thought it. Come on. Like, oh, oof, that's just mean. It's just no one gets a Ferrari.
And then they drive it away. Like, oh, sorry, you're not in the finals. It's an EU-only final. Well, driving the Ferrari away.
That's great. That's great. Pack up your stuff and go home.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely wonderful. And then also in esports was, because we have to talk about it, and I don't want to talk about it because we've had so much fun. Now we need to talk about drama. The Pinnacle 4 drama.
Yeah.
If you missed it, we will actually tell you what happened, as opposed to Magic Amy, where we'll just have Frodan come on and we will talk about the fallout without actually prepping you on what happened. Team Archon, they made the headlines multiple times this weekend. I'm sure a lot of you know they just acquired the recent ESL Victor Orange, so their roster is horrifying now, if you follow Hearthstone esports.
Yeah, they have, 4 full-time Hearthstone players, and 8 altogether? And they're pretty much stopping there for now. From the sounds of it, they're not looking to acquire anyone else. But it's a really, really solid team.
Absolutely. But they also were the subject of a pretty volatile Reddit thread regarding the Pinnacle 4 over the weekend. So if you missed it, really the big thing, and the thing I agree with as far as complaints, was that the Pinnacle 4 wasn't a true open tournament as it was advertised. They had a 128 player qualifier, which is great. Love it. But the thing was, is it wasn't like a true open. It's what's an open to you, Jocelyn? It's first come, first serve. Like,
yes, you have a certain number of spots, and then you say, here are the spots, and then people go spots, and then run for the spots, and then there you go. When it's full, it's full.
Right, and that's not what they did for this. What they had is you could like apply to play in the qualifier. So basically, what you did is would-be players had to email their credentials to the Pinnacle 4. And then the organizers of the Pinnacle 4 picked 128 players that could play in the qualifier. There's nothing wrong with this.
It was kind of, I mean, I guess not 100% open in that it wasn't first come, first serve, but it was open in the way that anyone could apply for those 128 spots, right?
Well, absolutely.
Still not what I would call an open, but
no.
At least there was a point during the selection process where it was open to literally anyone.
Right. And they're perfectly within their rights to do that. Like there's no like Bible of esports tournament rules that everyone must adhere by. Like it's just,
which is kind of a part of really the problem. And I'm noticing this organizing the Angry Chicken tournament, which is coming up this weekend. And there is no kind of like set rule book. Like if you go and play a game of football, it doesn't matter if, you know, you're a high school football team, if you're in the NFL or anything in between, you're playing from the same set of rules. It's done, you know, like, but there is no like, this is how you play a Hearthstone tournament. It's just like, well, this tournament follows these rules and this tournament follows these rules. And then sometimes there's this and sometimes there's that, but then there's deck lists and there's not. And
which I think is a good thing. As someone who likes playing card games competitively, I like that there's different formats.
I guess I would still prefer a little bit more definition in the formats, if that makes sense.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, so like if you're having a conquest tournament, then these are the rules that you follow. And if you're doing like I don't know, there's a whole bunch of different.
But we really do. I mean, we have that for conquest at least.
Well, but even then, even within Conquest, for instance, again, I'm going to go to the Angry Chicken tournament, and there's been other kind of like large community tournaments that obviously aren't awarding any kind of points towards BlizzCon or anything like that. Right. But all of these rules get tweaked based on the resources that the tournament has at hand. So for Angry Chicken, I'm doing it all by myself. So I'm not checking 128 players' deck lists every round. I'm sorry, I can't. It would be like a 2-week-long tournament if I did that. So. I mean, like, there's these little tweaks to a basic set of Conquest rules, and that's when things start getting a little bit fuzzy, because then you can say, like, oh, well, I played in a Conquest tournament last weekend, and I didn't have to do that, and then I do have to do it for this one, but not for the next one, and that's when misunderstandings start happening.
Gotcha. Now I see. I thought you meant, like, change the actual... like the way you play the game in the format. I didn't. You're talking about like registration of how registration is handled, which you're absolutely right, and that is tough. And props to you, by the way. I know we've had some hiccups, by the way. If you're in Taco, one of the people who was helping us with it got himself hired by Blizzard and could no longer help us with it. So now it's like kind of just on Jocelyn's shoulders.
But it's okay, guys. I got this.
And I've been helping where I can. I haven't just been like, "Well, wow, you're in a deep pile of shit. I'm not going to help you though because I have my own stuff going on."
That looks like a big pile of shit from way over here.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to run these things. Anyway, back to the Pinnacle 4. Enough with our personal anecdotes.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So, a bunch of people applied. The organizers went through, select 128 players of the applicants, and said, all right, we judge you fit to play in the qualifiers, which is fine. They're totally okay with doing that. Where people started to get ticked off on Reddit and whatnot, or because they're like, hey, I talked to my friend's cousin, and he's like, rank 50, but I heard this other dude who I don't know was like ranked 75 legend, and he got in, but my friend's cousin of rank 50 didn't. Like, what's up with that? Which is going to happen, and I'm not surprised that this started coming up. Again, Team Arcana can really do whatever the hell they want. Like it's their call. I mean, certainly I'm not here saying like you're not allowed to complain about it, because you are.
It could be frustrating, when the rules for selection are not completely transparent. If, I'm looking at one person and looking at their performance and I look at my performance and I know that mine is better and yet they're in a tournament and I'm not in a tournament, then, that I can see would be really, really frustrating because when you're playing at that level, when you're in, the difference between rank 75 legend or rank 50 legend, like you are putting a lot into this game. Like you are a skilled player. You spend a lot of time playing, the game inside and out. And so I can see where that frustration would come from.
Yep. Nothing more to add to that. So moving on the line of the other stuff that happened. So
yeah, the really big kind of sticking point with people.
128 players were invited to play in the qualifier. 16, so the top 16 of that 128 person bracket moved on to the round of 32. In that round of 32, there was supposed to be another 16 players pre-invited. Either they did well in previous invitationals or they're just high placing, players that are clearly going to bring in a crowd, whatever the case.
Yeah, they're invited. Again, this falls under the selection criteria. They don't have to tell us why they're invited. They're just invited.
Yeah. This dude made me a really nice burger and I wanted to invite him. I could do that for taco. I don't think
there are no invites in taco.
I'm just saying, if I really wanted to, I could.
Yes.
So send me your best burger if you want to play in a tournament that has a couple Battle.net gift cards as the prize that badly.
Garrett just doesn't want to cook for the next week.
Yeah, I hate cooking, man. It's I love eating. I hate cooking. Anyway, so when the list for the round of 32 was revealed, some of the 16 invited players that made it through apparently participated in and were eliminated in the round of 128. So everyone on Reddit lost their shit, started saying, boycott the Pinnacle 4. It's rigged. It's a scam. All of this incredibly... Reddit did what Reddit does, basically. Yeah. And so it got blown really out of proportion, in my opinion. Amaz directly replied on that thread saying that, hey, here's what happened with the round of 32. We didn't do a public announcement because we already fixed it. Quote, it was basically a mistake on Backspace's part. He accidentally did a few double invites without checking. This is why the 32-man qualifiers turned to a 24-man round robin, I believe was what they went with.
Yeah, they went with round robin.
Yeah, after the double invites were removed. Continuing the quote, it's understandable that some people miss this, but who can keep up with every single change all the time, right? The issue resolved itself, so I felt like I didn't need to announce the mistake, which is fine. I'm always a fan of transparency.
Yeah. So did they end up removing the people who were eliminated in the round of 128?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
So
basically, yeah, this is of the 16 invited, not of the 16 qualified. So what happened was the top 16 from the 128 did move on to round 32. Nothing there changed. What happened was when the other 16 were added to the round of 32, some of those players played in the 128 and were eliminated, and it looked like what was happening were, they're getting invited even though they lost because they're high-profile players. They were then removed because, according to Amaz, it was just an issue of double inviting because you weren't cross-checking lists.
Yeah. I think that's the right way to handle it. You make a mistake, you go, oh, whoops. Okay. Well, you guys you've already been eliminated. You don't get to play. We have to change the tournament format. One other comment that I did read in that Reddit thread was that the communication around the change in format wasn't really done very well from someone who actually played in the tournament as one of the qualified players, I believe. And he was saying just basically all of a sudden the format changed and they weren't given any kind of notice. So, these things happen. I think in the end it would have been worse to let them keep playing in the original format. So it's frustrating, but I think it's a good fix on the fly. And I'm glad that they didn't let the people play when they'd already been disqualified. I think they handled it well they did the right thing, but poorly from a communication standpoint.
Yeah. And eliminated. Disqualified is a different means something different.
Sorry. Yes.
just
it's late.
Putting
it's
that little
late.
pin
Cut
there.
me some slack. We're already 10 minutes past where we normally stop.
No, I'm right there with you.
I'm still. You want me to think?
Anyways, so the issue I took with obviously. So we talked to Dills with this via text today, and he was really ticked he couldn't be on the show tonight to talk about this, because obviously if anyone's going to have an opinion about esports, not going down the way it should, it's going to be Dills. And he basically said, hey, I believe a mistake was made. It's very easy for that stuff to happen. He really just doesn't think it should have ever been referred to as an open in the first place, which I agree with. I know people are like, Garrett, you never agree with Dills. I'm with Dills 100% on this.
As am I.
Yeah. So so I'm not done raking Reddit over the coals yet. So I said they went on to say it was a scam. They thought it was a conspiracy. That they were inviting the most popular players so that they would make more money. They incorrectly stated that it should be boycotted because it was rewarding WCS points, where, get this, it's not rewarding WCS points, people, and they never said it was going to. So,
and there's an official blog post now, because this was an issue that Blizzard struggled with a little bit. I guess probably we're talking like a month ago now, maybe, just around transparency of who was getting WCS points, who wasn't, what was a qualifier for BlizzCon and what wasn't. So there's actually a blog post now that says specifically which tournaments are rewarding WCS points, and Pinnacle's not on it because they never were going to be giving them away.
And all of this, WCS as far as Blizzard and the Pinnacle format, plus the invites as far as, the Pinnacle, again, it just comes back to transparency. All of this stuff should have been out and readily available for all of us to know and read ahead of time, and all of this would have been avoided.
I agree.
The thing I don't get, I don't understand why the 16 invited players to the round of 32, why that wasn't like up front, like with the announcement of the Pinnacle 4.
Well, I mean, to me, that would make sense, right? You have your 16 invited players, and then they don't need to apply for your qualifier of 128. You know, like, just take them out of the pool from the beginning.
Yeah, like the only thing I can think of that makes sense in my head, and this is just conjecture, is, hey, there's, between our announcement of the Pinnacle 4 and it starting, there's a couple high-profile tournaments. We'd like the wiggle room of inviting whoever won those. Which is
but even then, I mean, you can, Yeah, I can see your point. Your point.
Or even not who won. You might have like someone new. The new Dark Wannix might show up and might only make it to the round of 16, but his decks are crazy and people want to see it. You never know. And if you're constructing a tournament where you are inviting players, that's the kind of stuff I can see you would want to do. So I don't know. It's weird. Also on the point of them saying that it was, they're just inviting the more popular players so that they could make money. I messaged Amos today asking how much money is made from the Pinnacle tournaments, and he said, quote, "We actually earn nothing from tourneys, not currently anyway. It's a way of thanking sponsors so they keep sponsoring the team." So according to Amos, it is not, they don't approach the Pinnacle like as a revenue generator. So I
think more to that point, what some people were saying is not necessarily that it's giving them dollars specifically from the Pinnacle tournament. I think it's just if you have higher profile players, then you get more views on your Twitch stream, and more views on your Twitch stream leads to more popularity for Archon, which leads to more sponsors or people keeping on sponsoring the team. So not that I'm justifying or agreeing with that very, very flamey thread, but I can see the argument of higher profile players making Archon money, not directly but indirectly over time.
Right. And I mean, and that's part of the thing. Like, there were some really good points made in the thread.
Yes.
But it just gets buried under this pile of just flaming rage and unsubstantiated rumors and lies.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. In a world where we're like fighting for esports to be taken seriously, anytime one of these kind of things pop up, just it annoys the ever living out of me, because it's just like, oh, cool, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Now I got to go back and watch real sports on HBO and watch Brian Gumbel talk down to esports like it's a joke and want to punch him through the TV. So, anyways, I don't know. Everyone, just Blizzard, Archon, everybody, just tell us what you're doing from the get-go. Make information readily available.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is hard, though. I mean, there's sometimes where you're trying to organize something and you think that it is completely obvious and you shouldn't have to come right out and say exactly what you mean by X, Y, and Z. But you really have to spell out every single little detail to make sure that there aren't any of these kind of like misunderstandings from your communications. So, I mean, it's still young. Hearthstone esports is really, really young. And I think everyone is doing the best that they can. And sometimes things like this are going to happen. And there's also a lot of strong personalities in a lot of these different, on both sides, from, the fans and from the teams and the players. And I think sometimes, because I know people are mentioning Backspace's comment in the chat, and I think that it can just be really frustrating. I mean, a lot of these players, a lot of these teams, a lot of these organizers take a lot of flack all of the time. And sometimes you just can't take it anymore and you snap and you say something you shouldn't. And so, yeah, I think we all need to cut each other some slack and maybe just stop with the flame wars.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Just calm down. Everyone just chill. And watch my Twitter if you want to see someone snap every now and then.
Garrett Rage is real.
It is. It is. So, anyways, I also had a whole rant prepared about why people are dumb for saying that pure open tournaments are the only way to go. But I'll save that for another day.
Save that for when Dills is here. I think that'll be a really good discussion.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. What story of the crazy variety do you have for us today, Miss Jocelyn?
This one actually came to us from our subreddit. So that is TAC Podcast over on Reddit if you want to submit things over there. If they get upvoted and people like them and there's lots of comments, then, I grab from there too. I like to mix it up. So this one comes to us from Fear You. He says, all right, Cluckers, I felt you would enjoy this. Situation, I'm playing an aggro warrior with 26 health, no cards in hand. He's playing control warrior, 1 card in hand with a 5/1 Sylvanas on the board and 6 health. My turn, I draw Grommash. Armor and pass. His turn, he armors to 8 HP, plays Grommash, swings with Grommash, and Sylvanas. My turn, I draw Whirlwind, not thinking, I jam down Grom and Whirlwind. And then I cringe as I realized I've just killed Sylvanas and my Grom is about to fight against me. Except for my poor opponent decided I choose death. And it ended like this. My opponent has both 10-8 Groms and that was an error. So thank you very much for posting that over on our subreddit, Fear You. It was a really good story. There's an Imager link for proof of the other warrior emoting.
1 star closer to legend.
Oh, yeah. That would just be such a piss off. This is why you never concede early. People can always misclick, especially now that we've, got the tablet. We mentioned that earlier on. We're getting the phone. The misclicks are going to be real, people.
Quitting the game is like a 3-step process. Bring up the menu, hit quit. Are you sure? Yes. So there is an "Are you sure?" right? Or am I imagining things?
Open the menu, concede, and then.
Am I just?
I don't remember.
Are you sure?
No, I don't think there is. There isn't an "Are you sure?" because people have complained about the location of the button in the past, where they've said, like it's too close to something else, or, you hit something by accident. I think particularly on the tablet, if you bring up the menu, the concede button is actually like right if you're trying to target the other hero. So you can accidentally hit the button and then go to do a spell. And if your timing is just right, it's just like, boom, concede.
It's like, wait, no. Yeah. Well, that is awful.
Yep.
Stick with it, folks. Pay attention. Make sure you really did lose that game. Thank you, Fear You. Let's take a couple emails before we end the show.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You're keeping the laughs rolling. Yeah, you can also send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Kadath, is how I'm choosing to pronounce that name. And Kadath writes, "Hey, Angry Chickens, I love making decks that buff small minions. Naturally, this makes me love utilizing Hobgoblin in decks. At the moment, Hobgoblin buffs one-attack creatures that are summoned. Do you guys think this should also include tokens and other one-attack creatures created by spells such as Implosion? Or do you think this would be too OP? Thanks, love the show." First of all, Hobgoblin doesn't say summoned. I believe it says played.
It says played, yeah. So you do specifically have to play a card from your hand that then creates a one-attack minion in order for Hobgoblin to be activated.
Yeah, it's a very important distinction.
Yes.
Playing it from your hand is playing. Hero power, like
Paladin.
Shaman or Paladin, that is a summon, and also any spell that yields you a minion is a summon. And then
no muster.
Right. And then I also
can't muster into Hobgoblin. That'd be so good.
This is the first thing I freaking tried. Okay, when I got GVG, I knew the first thing I was going to do was try a Paladin deck, and I cracked a Hobgoblin randomly, and I knew I was playing around with muster. And I'm like, oh my god, the synergy between Hobgoblin and muster is insane. And I got into a game, and I was just like, what the hell just happened? Oh, that's disappointing.
And then when you're playing against another person and you know that they're laughing on the other end because they're just like, oh.
So what you do there is you
didn't quite hit the mark.
You play muster, throw down your Hobgoblin, but then you have like all the pandas you can possibly find to ping your 1/1s back into your hand and then play them back from your hand again so that they actually get the buff.
Oh, Garrett, so many what ifs.
I have changed places with Jocelyn.
I know, right? I can't believe that I'm the one being like, that's not a legitimate play. Stop having fun, Garrett.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think it would be OP, just if for no other reason than because of the existence of muster for battle. Mm-hmm. That would just be so
well, and
much.
Yeah, any cards like it.
It'd be so, yeah. Because it's okay with Quartermaster, because your dudes have to survive a turn, or you have to have enough mana to play both muster then Quartermaster. But because Hobgoblin just sits on the board, then you play muster, you're guaranteed to get those three dudes buffed. Which yes, you can happen with Quartermaster, but again, much later in the game for it to be guaranteed.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You know, you could potentially, if it did work with muster, you could coin Hobgoblin, because Hobgoblin costs 3 mana, and then on turn 3 you could play muster, and you would end up with 3 3/3s plus the Hobgoblin, which is a 2/3.
Yep.
And that's pretty much an impossible board to deal with that early in the game. So it would be extraordinarily overpowered, specifically in Paladin.
Right. We would have the new like Undertaker type scenario. Granted,
yes.
It's, I guess more like the like beta rogue, where it's like, well, if rogue gets coin, I just lose.
Exactly. Yeah. So if Paladin gets coin, then yeah, you would that would be it. So.
Right. That being said, if
you totally just took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say, that being said, there's a Hobgoblin deck right now.
Yeah. If we had read this email last week, my response would have been completely different. However, Savjz has come, the glorious man with the lovely accent that he is, and shown us the light with his Paladin, I believe he called it.
Yes, it's called the Paladin deck. And to be fair, I believe it was day 9 about 2 weeks ago that created a Hobgoblin deck, and Savjz made, I think, 4 or 5 substitutions to create this deck. Chat room was saying that somebody else, Admirable, I think, was running this deck last night as well. So there's a lot of really big name players that are playing around with this deck. I played with it a little bit today. I went about 50%. But when you don't get a good draw with this deck, it just feels so awful. It's like turn 8, and I'm like, 1/1 Divine Shield, bitch. Take that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
picture my opponent going like, what is even happening right now?
You need the Hobgoblin, like, in your hand from the start, or you have no game plan.
Exactly. And then you just lose, because you don't even play, I mean, you have Stone Tusk Boar, which has charge, but there's, like, nothing else that's, like, chargy to your face. So, yeah, you just sit there going, now what? Here's all my 1 damage minions doing their 1 damage until you kill them. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone check it out. We have a link to the deck list in the show notes over at amove.tv/TAC for episode 73. But
there's wisps, which makes me so happy.
There's wisps
because I have 2 golden wisps, and I've never been able to put them in a constructed deck that I've played on ladder. So now I can say I have used my wisps on ladder.
I know
and I won.
I know it's late, and we're probably getting delirious, but defend yourself. Why, oh why, did you keep golden wisps?
Because I keep all of my golden cards.
When that dust could have been used for literally anything else, and it would have been a better use of your dust.
Well, because in the end, I ended up, I'm going for all of the golden cards, as everybody is. So this way I don't ever have to craft them. I always keep the gold and craft the plain version. I know it gets me a little bit less dust, but I have most of the cards now, so.
Fair enough. Oh, that's wonderful.
Plus they're pretty.
Thank you for that email, Kadath. I'm glad that we had a reason to discuss Wisp outside of just being like, hey guys, Savjz has a deck out. Check it.
I've always said Wisps are great. They're a 1/1 for no mana.
I'm not sure you've always said that. You know, if the deck we were talking about right now was the Eye for an Eye deck that actually somehow works, then you would get to be like, I told you guys. But Wisps, I'm not sure
I've brought Wisps up before.
I'm not sure that's a Jocelyn meme, so you don't get to
Oh no,
that.
it's not meme worthy. It's not Eye for an Eye worthy, but
wonderful stuff. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for our show. Hope you enjoyed the longer show this week. And big thanks again to Ben Thompson, Hearthstone's art director, for coming on and talking to us about the history of making Hearthstone the beautiful, beautiful piece of digital art that it is today. And as also got to thank the patrons. Our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC who support the Angry Chicken every month. Thank you guys so much. If you want to become a TAC patron, it'll give you access to the TAC Skype account for the patron call-in episode, which we are doing tomorrow, right?
Is it tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow? Do we agree on tomorrow? Or do we agree on the following Tuesday?
Yes.
I don't know. It's tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow.
Okay, it's tomorrow. Great. Awesome. I'll clear my schedule.
I'll double check with Dills, but I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow.
I think you're right.
Yeah, because he said, I think there was something.
Because he said he was going to miss the episode, but he'd be available for the hangout.
That's
you're right.
what it is. Yep. Because I couldn't remember which Tuesday we agreed on. But yes,
it's
tomorrow.
really funny because I literally thought, I'm like, no, it's definitely tomorrow. Because I was thinking about it earlier tonight, and I was like, no, we just did a hangout like a week ago.
They happen every month. 12 extra episodes a year because of the patrons. So thank you guys so much. I need more sleep. This week I want to thank Jason C., Ron P., Joseph F., Daniel H., and Keen N. Thank you so much for supporting the Angry Chicken. We really appreciate it. Also, if you're an iTunes listener and you are enjoying the show, drop us a 5-star review. It helps the show out a ton. And it makes me feel really better, really a lot better after I read really mean-spirited reviews targeted directly at me.
Aw.
Yeah. It's bad stuff.
That was one dude.
That was one dude. I would fight that one dude if I could. I wanted to fight someone since high school. It's a strong feeling. Anyway, thank you this week to Return My Soul, who said, I'm leaving a message all the way from China and wanted to say thank you for making my commute a thing to look forward to. You're welcome. Also, holy crap, you're very far away from where Jocelyn and I are.
Was this actually in the U.S. iTunes store? So he actually switched over specifically?
Well, I don't know. He might be. I'm assuming he's a fairly native English speaker, so maybe he, subscribes. I had a buddy who lived out in China for 3 years teaching English, but I don't think he ever stopped using the U.S. iTunes store if he could help it. So I don't know.
Fair enough.
Also, thank you to Dizashay J. Thank you for your 5-star review. I looked at it, I approached my landing, and I feel like I nailed it. As always, The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. All of our past live shows and the video show from today that you should really go check out to see the art can be found at youtube.com/StarcastShow. Get our t-shirt over at slashloot.com. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and catch us live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV, or for the audio-only stream over on alphageekradio.com. Also, check out Brian Griffith, who made our intro music, over at briangriffithmusic.com. Joss, where can folks find you?
Best place to find me is over on Twitter. I tweet out whenever I'm doing anything. You can also find me right here on AMove TV every Friday night for the Gamers In. That goes live at 8:30. I also wanted to give a really, really quick taco update. If you did register for the tournament, make sure you're checking your email, because I just sent out a really big email on Sunday with a lot of instructions. I apologize, but bear with me. We've had a lot of changes. It's been quite a process to figure this whole thing out, and it's my first ever time, so just bear with me.
I'm pretty sure we said 2 weeks ago there's going to be hiccups.
Yes, like, there was a very, very big hiccup. The service that we were going to use didn't work out, didn't have all the functionality in time. So we're using a different service now, so just check your email. All the details are in your email. And also, I just wanted to say, oh, shoot, there was something else. Uh-oh. Check your emails. Oh, make sure that all of your information is in. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. All right. All of your information is in by Wednesday night. You need to include in your display name, so not your username, that can be whatever you want, but in your display name for the bracket, you need to include your BattleNet, like your battle tag, as well as the 3 classes you're playing. If it's not in by Wednesday night and the exact time is in the email, I'm going to have to disqualify you, because we have to make sure that all the spots are open. Or sorry, not open. All the spots are filled.
Filled. Filled was the word you were looking for. The opposite.
Yes. Oh, God.
Open. Well, not the opposite. The opposite
sorry.
of open would be closed. Opposite of filled would be empty.
I have been so crazy intense into this like tournament organizing. I don't even know where my head's at anymore.
Yeah. Again, the hugest of huge props to you. Because after our little like pre-tac meeting today, where you were just like, and then this thing happened, and then that thing happened, and you guys don't understand all the hurdles that Jocelyn has faced and overcome.
So I apologize.
3 of which happened in real time in the meeting I had with you today. You were just like, I'm not sure about this thing. Oh, I fixed it. And then that thing, hey, figured that out.
Yeah. So yeah, bear with me, guys. Thank you so much. Our tournament isn't, yeah, it's great. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I want to do this for the community. It's going to be great. But that being said, we do need to make sure all the spots are filled. So Wednesday night is your deadline. Make sure that you're in there with all of your information. So I'm going to send out one more reminder email tomorrow, specifically to the people who haven't done it yet. So don't get my finger wagged at you people. We need to get on this so that it runs smoothly on the weekend. But yeah, that being said, I mean, we're using Challenge now, I think is the name of or Challenge, or I don't know. It's
Challenge.
It's like Challenge, but there's an O in it. I don't know why they didn't just call it Challenge.
Because I'm sure Challenge was taken.
Well, probably.
So
but anyways, that's a service that we're using. It's a really great service. And I just wanted to say a really quick thank you to Callum. He was instrumental in helping me get over some of these hurdles. So thank you very much for your help. And I'm looking forward to Taco, and just watch your emails. Watch your emails.
Watch your emails. We got like 25 new Twitch subs tonight. Holy crap.
Nice.
I just looked at my phone. And I'm like, why do I have 25? And I'm like, oh my God, they're all new subs on Twitch. Holy crap. So thank you all for subbing. Welcome to the show. Guys. Hope you enjoy it. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett, folks. 1 R and 1 T in Art. As I now feel propelled to specify. NoMoonArt.com is my graphic design portfolio. I can also be contacted over there. There's a forum you can use. And check out Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast that I do with Kyle Ferguson, where this week we will hopefully be talking about our impressions on Sylvanas if everything goes according to plan tomorrow. Yeah, Sylvanas! Banshee Queen. Jocelyn's not saying anything to help
What? Sorry.
this joke. Yeah. Anyways.
Woo, heroes!
That'll do it. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, doghouse-systems.com. The code to use is TAC, and that will get you a free 120 gigabyte solid-state drive added to your already amazing gaming PC and directly support the Angry Chicken in the process. Thank you for listening. Thanks again to Ben Thompson and the Hearthstone Community Team for their time. We will see you guys next week for episode 74. Actually, no, we'll see you tomorrow for episode 74 of the Community Call-In episode with our patrons. And until then, job's done.
Job's done.
Yeah!